Cache Master is more a deformation cacher for interactive working, like if you have enough bones or enough things going on in your scene to slow them down with the deformation calculations, you can basically bake them to MDDs, and with that it should speed up your workflow quite a bit. If you're familiar with how Modo works, the cache deformers, that's pretty much what this is. So how do we use it? We have an animation here that's just, it's some silly thing with some bones set up. You can see here in the scene editor that there's a hierarchy from Motion Builder, and then we have a plastic man object, which is our object that uses the bones of the initial the hierarchy stand-in. So so basically there's no bones directly underneath of it, but it uses something from the initial setup here. So the easiest thing to do is to run Cache Master, and you can see the Cache Master will basically give you all the objects that are in your scene, and you can see right now this object is not cached, there's no cache available for it, and it doesn't need an update. We'll get to this later on. So the easiest thing to do is, if you want to cache this, is just you select the plastic man and you hit enable cache. And what it does is, you can see now it goes to the timeline and basically writes out an MDD. So you can now see that there's a cache available, it's been cached, and if we go to the object properties, you can see that there's an MDD applied to it, and the initial bones, and there was some dynamics on it, have been disabled. So all we're using is the MDD cache at this point in time, meaning none of the bones or deformation here should play into the calculations required by layout to update. We can easily go and disable that again, and you can see here that now the MDD is disabled and we have the bones back active and the dynamics back active. And you can see here that there is still a cache available, and but it's no longer being cached. If you want to switch back, you go to enable cache, and now we can see here it's been changed, and everything is good to go. Now the important thing about this is, actually we're now using the cached version, but let's say we want to do some sort of really weird limb. We'll go back here and we'll pick one of the bones, and watch what happens when I click one of the bones and move it. So right now we're cached, cache available. So we're going to click one of these bones, and as soon as I start moving it, you can see that it's no longer cached. It's basically live again using the bones, and it'll say that if you want to use a cache, it needs an update. It needs to be updated. So in this particular case, I can go through the animation, and yes, looks great now. And what we're going to do is we're going to enable the cache again. Select the object, enable the cache again. It will automatically cache it because it knows it needs an update. And as soon as that's done, you can now see we're cached. Cache is available, no longer needing an update, and we are fully live again with our cache. Again, you can go back to, you can change it again if you wanted to go over here, and let's pick this bone again. And we'll change it back, something like this. You can see it automatically recognized I'm no longer cached. Cache needs to be updated. We'll select it, enable the cache. It caches it again. And once that is done, we are good to go. So you can see the beginning, it looks weird. And then I move the leg back again. And so we're close to, in the end, we're close to what we had in the beginning. Probably a little bit offset. But so it's a very nice and easy way. You don't have to use bones. Obviously, it could be another object that has other deformers in it. Any deformers basically get disabled when you cache it, so that none of them play into the calculations that layout has to do. And you can very easily, you can do all objects. So if you have multiple objects in the scene, you can do this with all caches. It functions exactly the same way. And again, you can always also just disable if you want to go back to the original bones. So it's a very easy way to switch between cached and non-cached deformers within layout, and should really speed up the process for a lot of things. And also, it can be used to basically make your scene render ready if you use relativity or things like that, which do have trouble with ScreamerNet, LWSN. then you might want to do something like that. Of course, you can do it also the old traditional way with baking out using the multi MDD baker. It's just this is not so much for transferring to another application, but more to interactively working within layout. So a nice little caching system between turning deformers on and off, or not on and off, but having them cached and non-cached. And that's it.